together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in a very happy Tuesday to you now here, November the 19th. It is Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we have got headlines and news around the sports universe unlike any other. It is the NFL that never sleeps, the NBA. We've got our second week of the NBA Cup action beginning again tonight here for the Cup. On Tuesdays, of course, and Fridays here over the next couple of weeks, we'll be diving into a lot of NBA action. Not sure if any of these teams actually care one way or the other about the NBA Cup, but we are certainly going to find out tonight with the main focus of everyone's attention will be the biggest game of the night in any sport as the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers will be on the road taking on the world champion Boston Celtics, and we have seen nothing but a stream of Celtics money coming in ever since this opened up overnight. I saw 3.5, 4, and now we're at 5.5, maybe even pushing to the double basket, the 6 number here before it's all said and done. The total has also been bet up here. This is going to be a test for both of these teams. I can tell you this, if the Celtics don't care about the NBA Cup, then they may not lay it all out on the line tonight to win this game. The one thing I do know is that the Celtics will be out of the NBA Cup if they do lose this game at home to the Cavs tonight. Hence, they lost their game last week in epic fashion, opening up the NBA Cup to the Atlanta Hawks. This is a different animal, though. Pride and a lot of other things on the line here tonight. That should be a fun one. We've got Maction football also tonight. You got to love that as we're going to be talking a little bit about what to expect. Northern Illinois on tap here tonight in a game that really doesn't mean an awful lot to them. But Miami of Ohio, it's going to mean a little something to them. And I say it's not going to mean a lot to them because Northern Illinois already bowl eligible. Not a lot that can be had from this game. And anytime Northern Illinois is a favorite, that always worries me a little bit. Also, for the first time in a long time, the Akron Zips appear to be a favorite in a football game of double digits. Why? Well, they're playing Kent State in Kent State. And Kent State, of course, I believe is the only remaining winless football team in college football this year. Will they get their first win of the season? Well, they're going to have a great opportunity to do it. As the Zips now laying 10.5 points against, well, it really doesn't matter. They could be playing a high school team. They should not be laying double digits against anyone. 2-8 on the season, 1-5 in MAC play. It's called the Battle of the Wagon Wheel, and that is getting ready to kick off coming up at the top of the hour. So we've got a little bit of action football. We've got the NBA Cup. We've got all of the big boys here today, or at least most of them in action in college basketball. We'll dive into that. And, of course, it wouldn't be a random Tuesday in November unless the New York Jets made headlines this afternoon. And the dysfunction on full display once again for the New York Jets, as we learned that Joe Douglas, their general manager, canned. Yes, that's right. As if we didn't see that coming. The New York Jets ownership there and Woody Johnson had decided that, yes, instead of waiting for the end of the season like most normal teams do to go ahead and get rid of the old and try to bring in the new, no. They waited, of course, until a Tuesday afternoon to do it. And I don't think anybody thought, as you can see, that wonderful record of Joe Douglas there under his tenure over the last 6 years, 30 wins, 64 losses. Not a good record in anybody's book. And, of course, we've got a 3-8 start to the season, having lost, 7 of their last 8 games. Listen, he's done some good things here for the New York Jets via the draft. He did hit, of course, on some nice draft picks there. But Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims will not be part of that group. But Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, all of those in the 2022 draft did very, very well. But let's not forget, he was part of the whole Zach Wilson draft. And it was him that orchestrated the trade for an Aaron Rodgers. And we all know that has not worked out well. So ultimately, his tenure with the New York Jets is over at this point. But my goodness, the New York Jets continue to just absolutely show their true colors as an organization. You fire your head coach, you put in somebody way over their head to take over, and it goes absolutely south. Now you fire the general manager in season. And the best part is the Jets they have to wait until the regular season ends before they can even begin interviewing any candidates that may be currently on other teams or part of other organizations. So apparently, why put off tomorrow with what you can do today? And the Jets just decided it is time to go. And what this organization will look like in the future is anybody's guess. I can also say the same thing about the Dallas Cowboys. What will this organization look like in the future is also anybody's guess. Although, when you have an owner like Jerry Jones and a general manager like, Jerry Jones, anything is possible. And the good news is it's probably not going to get any better. Once again, another drubbing last night by the Houston Texans over the Dallas Cowboys, who I can't remember the last time the Dallas Cowboys went winless through November at home. When you think about it here. And not only are they losing at home, they're getting blown out at home. I don't think they've played one competitive game in Jerry World yet this year. And we can make all excuses you want for what the injuries, of course, were not great, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. But anybody that had been following the Cowboys in the offseason, the moves were head-scratching, or actually, should I say, the lack of moves in free agency were head-scratching. They never addressed the running back position. They were aging out on the offensive line, didn't do anything to improve any of those spots there. They waited last minute to give CeeDee Lamb his contract extension. Nobody is convinced, once again, that Dak Prescott is the future of this organization. You've got a lame duck coach that you haven't extended. Everything about what the Cowboys have done leading up to this point screams total dysfunction, much like the New York Jets. And is it odd that they both seem to have exactly the same record through this point in the season? I would say no. The only difference is the chance of Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, firing Jerry Jones, the general manager of the Cowboys, well, is pretty much slim to none. So hopefully things get better for the Jets. I have my doubts on whether or not things will get better with the Dallas Cowboys anytime soon. So the NFL always grabbing headlines, and we've got much more to get to. Full slate of NBA tonight. We'll dive into some of those games when we get back here on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all week long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Tuesday to you as we welcome in our good friend Mark Zinno, getting ready for what is the second week of the NBA Cup tonight here, Zin, and some interesting matchups. And of course, the big story is going to be Cleveland and Boston. I'm not sure how much Boston really cares about not being eligible to win the NBA Cup, but I'm pretty sure after losing to your Hawks a week ago, they lose this one, they're pretty much done, right? So I don't know that NBA Cup motivation comes into play for the Celtics tonight. Do you?
No, I don't think it does, but motivation to be the first team to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2024, 2025 probably plays a little bit more into it. And plus the mental edge of, for as good as Cleveland's been, Boston reminding those guys, hey, guess what, fellas? We're still the bad boys on the block. We still have the Larry O'Brien trophy. If you want to win one, you better get ready to come through us. So this number opened up at 5.5. It's already up to 6.5. A lot of money coming in on Boston tonight. I think it's the right side. I mean, Joe, Cleveland, for their 15-0 start, you want to know how many playoff teams they played last year? Not play-in teams, playoff teams. So far, out of their 15 games, just 3. You want to know how many of those teams won a playoff series last year? Just 1, and it was the New York Knicks. Look, I know they beat the Golden State Warriors, who are much better, but they haven't exactly played a murderer's row schedule here of teams when you look about it. When you talk about, the Raptors, the Pistons, the Wizards, the Magic, the Pelicans, the Nets, the Bulls, the Sixers, like, they haven't exactly gone through the tough of the NBA here. And I'm not saying Cleveland is bad or anything like that, but in reality, this is the first real legitimate test they've had this season, especially on the road here. Give me Boston on all the other points.
I'll tell you what, though, long term, I love what the Cavs done. They have figured it out, much like Boston, who has invested in a core group of players that are going to be there for a while. And yes, they're going to get hammered with taxes and second apron and all that. But when you look at what they did over the offseason, Zin, I mean, they signed Mobley to an extension, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Jared Allen. They signed all those guys and locked them up for the long term, plus Darius Garland and Max Strus are there for the next 3 years. I don't understand why people don't understand. You can't throw a team together in free agency and think that's going to work out. You have to have some stability, and I think they're finally figured that out. And to me, the Cavs are kind of a must kind of bet moving forward, because look at the way they're playing this early in the season. What are they going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now when they're all still playing together?
Well, again, the good part for Cleveland is they're a top 5, team in defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. They were always good defensively. They've been that way for the last couple of years, but now they finally have an offense that really is starting to kick in and starting to make teams, have to worry about both ends of the floor. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's been a great run for them. I mean, they're not going to win all 82 games, so we know they're going to lose at some point. Tonight feels like the first night.
What are we doing with the Nuggets here, who I believe, once again, Jokic out, the Joker gone, I believe had the birth of his child, so he's out for personal days. We saw what this looked like without him last week, and it didn't work out well. They kind of got bullied around here. Any reason to think Memphis won't do exactly the same thing tonight in round 2?
Yeah. I mean, look, the Nuggets shot an uncharacteristically bad 41% from the field and 32% from 3. Those numbers on the season for Denver, and granted, Jokic just played a better part of it, but they're up near 47% from the field and 38% from 3. So if they have some sort of regression to the mean here, they should be a lot closer in this one. I'm just, I get Jokic is out, and the number is even up bigger. It was at 4.5 this morning. We're talking about 5.5, 6 now in this game. It's weird how the NBA works sometimes. It's nights like these where, it looks like Memphis is an easy layup. And once you start to get to that 6 number, it's like, oh, okay, well, Denver if they shoot better, this game's going to be a lot more competitive. They were down by 20 in the third and just kind of mailed it in, in the game 2 days ago. I think they put up a better fight here. I'm not saying the Nuggets might win this game, but I think they shoot better. I think this game is a lot tighter than people give it credit for.
It's funny. The rest of the game's on the slate, and when you look at them, Pelicans, Mavs are a 13-point favorite. The Spurs won't have Wembanyama. Thunder a double-digit, road favorite. And then you got the Lakers laying 11 against the local Jazz there. Again, I tell you, I don't know that I'd pick any of the dogs in any of those matchups here. Zin, you?
No, I mean, I would look at the over in the Lakers-Utah matchup just because, again, or the Lakers team total over because the Jazz defense is so bad that they may be able to put up a decent amount of points. I mean, it's always the way to kind of part and parcel the NBA when you get big number. I'm not interested in laying 10.5 with the Lakers. But, if you're asking them to score 115 here, okay, they may get to 120 even against Utah, who regularly gives up 120 to their opponents. So, I mean, if you look at what they've done in the last couple of games, they gave up 116, 121, 113, 120. All their losses have been high scoring. They've been getting beat pretty soundly. So if the Lakers are going to win this one, they're going to score.
Yeah, they're going to score and score a lot, I think, in this one here. They should be able to get that one rather easy. I can't trust the Spurs without Wembanyama, and I believe Doncic is a go tonight, which is why this number has climbed, and the Pelicans just feel like they're an instant fade across the board no matter what until they can get some people healthy here. But the total seems a little high, too, at 221.5, 222 there. I don't see the Pelicans reaching 100 points here, Zin. I don't know how we're getting up and over that total.
Yeah, again, Dallas, middle of the road when it comes to defensive efficiency, but you're also looking at a team, in New Orleans, it's bottom 5 in true shooting percentage and effective field goal percentage. They're just not a very good shooting team at this point in time. So if the Dallas defense does what it's supposed to do, this could be a game that stays under.
Are we just, by the way, over in the Celtics Cavs? Or it doesn't feel like they're going to sacrifice bodies for this game. It feels like one team's good. They're going to try to outshoot one another is what it feels like.
I would think so. But, again, Boston, another good defensive team. If you're going to take an under, you take it in the first half, right? Because if it ain't going over early, it ain't going over late. I mean, I would expect the better end of the defense game to be in the first half here. Maybe some of the scoring picks up in the second.
All right, well, coming up here, we've got the college football rankings coming out here. I can't wait to see how many SEC teams this committee eventually gets in here, as there's only a handful of teams that can really spoil the party. We'll talk a little bit about those college football games coming up here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Mark Zinno, as we've got a big night ahead. We do have a couple of action games here tonight that will kick off the college football week, but we also have, of course, those always exciting college football rankings and the committee getting together here, Zin, and Listen, I think it's going to be fascinating now. I think the SEC is a complete mess because you're going to have nothing but 2-loss teams, and the committee ultimately is going to have to choose between, I don't know, let's say a 5th SEC team in the top 12 or maybe a 1-loss Big Ten team. And when I say 1 loss is if Indiana doesn't keep it close, if they get blown out by Ohio State this week, the committee, the committee's going to look at them and be like, well, they played one good team and they got destroyed in Ohio State. What's the difference if they're 11-1? I'd rather have a 2-loss SEC team in there. And then we're talking about 4 and 5 SEC teams out of the top 12 in the country. And here we go again, Zen. What did we accomplish by doing this 12-team thing?
Well, nothing, which is why we should have never done it. But again, I've been steadfast against college football playoff expansion, and it's going to happen again in 2 more years when they go to 14 teams and 16 teams. So round and round we go. But the point simply is that, look, Indiana will have no quality wins. They'll be 0-1 against the top 25. Their strength of schedule will be around 100th in the country. It's just not enough to cut it for them to be a college football playoff team. I don't know that the committee will leave them out. A lot of that depends on what happens the last couple of weeks, when it comes to teams in the SEC. Somehow if Auburn upsets Alabama in the Iron Bowl and Alabama has 3 losses, they may be out. I don't think Georgia will lose another one, but it's certainly possible that they could the rest of the way out. Tennessee loses another one. They may be on the way out if they play Vanderbilt, the final week and Vanderbilt knocks them off. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen here when it's all said and done. I mean, does somehow, SMU end up in the ACC championship game and Miami doesn't with 1 loss? Does Miami get to stay in, right? I mean, that's kind of the world that we're in right now when we look at it. And don't forget about the Big 12 here, because if you are an SEC team right now or you're a bubble team, you really want BYU to run this thing here and win it. And that's it. You don't want Colorado to win this thing because they don't have the resume to get in either. But there's going to be a Big 12 champion in this thing, and we'll figure out what it is. I mean, is there a chance that Notre Dame, whose schedule is equally as soft as Miami, as Indiana's for the record here? I mean, again, they have the one signature win over A&M, but Army, Navy don't count. Louisville's not going to be a top 25 team when it's all said and done, I don't think. And then there's not really another win to speak of on their schedule, especially with the loss to Northern Illinois. So is that a team that really belongs in this conversation? There's a lot that'll happen. Look, we're going to figure out a lot more things over the next 2 weeks, right? There's going to be 2 undefeateds who are going to fall this week, likely in Indiana and in Army. So there's only going to be 1 undefeated team left, and that's going to be Oregon. So that makes things a little bit easier when it comes to the loss column here. But again, I would expect some more teams to lose that we didn't think were going to lose in the final 2 weeks.
Yeah, it really comes down to me. I mean, there's no way Penn State doesn't get in, right? I mean, they're playing absolutely nobody down the stretch. They'd be a 1-loss team. Indiana would be a 1-loss team. Outside of that, and you're going to have the champion. Let's just figure it's going to be Oregon, right? There's no way Oregon doesn't pull it off in the Big Ten here, or do you think that was too close to call for Wisconsin and maybe a letdown coming up here?
I mean, theoretically, Washington could be good enough to knock them off defensively if Oregon isn't as sharp as we expect them to be. They've been a little bit flat the last 2 weeks. That much we can understand. It was a bad performance offensively against Maryland, at least early. And then Wisconsin gave them a little bit of a scare here. So Washington do the same? Yeah. But when you have a 0 in the loss column, it doesn't matter if you have 4 or 5 close wins. The 0 in the loss column is going to outweigh that for everybody.
Yeah, it just feels like it's you got Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas A&M. I mean, we've got 6 SEC teams, and I believe Texas and Texas A&M are getting ready at some point to buy in 2 weeks. I think they play one another, so that we'll figure it out. But outside of that, I mean, that's 6 SEC teams with 2 losses here. Zin, something's got to give here. No,
I think that they would say goodbye to a 3-loss SEC team over a 1-loss Indiana team. Not that I think that's right. I think that's what they would do, though. They don't want to let a 3-loss team in on the first year. I would probably say they'd shy away from it.
Best or most deserving, Zen? That's the big question.
Give me the best teams, not most deserving.
All right, amen to that. All right, Zen, we appreciate it, man. Enjoy the night. GTD's back after this.
sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in GameTime Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri joined by our good friend Adam Kaufman here, getting ready for a NBA Cup night here at the top of the hour. The first game up will be the game of the night, maybe the game of the season so far, as the Boston Celtics getting ready to take on the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers. And Adam, and it's in your neck of the woods there at the Garden. Boston, listen, I was saying this to Zeno early. I'm not sure Boston gives a rip whether or not, the NBA Cup comes to fruition or if they're competitive in it. I think they'd probably be more interested in knocking down Cleveland in the undefeated streak. But the reality is they lose this game because of their loss to Atlanta. They're out of the group. It's over in the NBA Cup. So this is as big a game as it could be for the first month of the season?
Sure. Joe, I mean, look, it's about championships here. They're still basking in the afterglow of Banner 18. Everyone's got their rings. They hoisted a banner to the rafters at the Garden. They have more NBA championships, real championships, not in-season tournament banners, real championships than any other team in the entire NBA. I can promise you, the players, fans, me, nobody gives a crap about the Emirates NBA Cup, not even a little bit. Honestly, it was a joke, and it probably wasn't even. I as much as I would like to, as a the Bostonian as I am, as much as I'd like to mock the Lakers, probably wasn't even their fault that they raised that dumb banner last year and had to make a big deal out of winning the in-season tournament. It was honestly, it's probably in the fine print. It's probably mandated by the NBA. You win the in-season championship, you got to put something up in the balcony for it. It's dumb. I don't care. Now, look, I will credit the league and Adam Silver for this. It has added a new layer, a new dimension of competitive games in season. It's what the whole point was. But this game transcends this NBA Cup qualifying round, group play, any of this stuff. This is a big game. This is going to have the intensity, to me at least, it should, of a playoff game, Joe, because you have the defending NBA champs against the team that, at least so far this year, is their biggest threat to represent the Eastern Conference and get back to that stage and chase yet another banner. Cavaliers are 15-0. It means something to Boston to get up for this game, to hand the Cavs their first loss, to remind everyone who we are and who you are trying to catch up. It means something to the Cavs, obviously, to want to go in and announce their presence to the Celtics and knock them off on their floor and improve to 16-0. Donovan Mitchell even sitting out the 14th game of this streak just so he was extra rested and ready to go for tonight, taking competition lightly on the way to the real game. So yeah, this one has the playoff feel. It is important. It is going to be fun. And give me Boston. And I say that, honestly, I think anyway, without the bias that I could occasionally come along with. I just think this is an opportunity for the Celtics to, again, rise to the level, not dink around with some of their competition they have been doing with of late, and some of these games that have come down to the wire because they played with their food and not taken them seriously enough. I think Tatum goes crazy tonight. I think Brown is awesome. I think the role players do what they have to do. I think Mitchell will be excellent on the other side as well, but ultimately star versus star, team versus team. The Cavs are missing a bunch of role players, guys that have been ruled out in terms of their depth. Celtics mostly healthy, other than obviously no Porzingis. You can get them at -4.5, 5, even 5.5 now. It's climbed a little bit. You want to throw them on a money line parlay, something like that. I support that. I think the Celtics get the job done.
Celtics at all. Ironically enough, the last time the Cavs lost was, well, in fact, Game 5 against the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs last year. So a little you throw a little revenge in this mix with the narrative too, and the Cavs did a great job of signing everybody back that was on that team a year ago. So this should be a fun game, and certainly the game of the night, because the rest of this card, I don't know what we're going. I mean, it's double-digit favorites across the board here. No joker for Denver. We've already saw what this looked like without him last game against Memphis, and they kind of bullied them and pushed them around. I don't know. Does it get any better? I mean, look at that number. Memphis laying 6 at home. They are getting a little healthier here, but, man, no depth and no joker for Denver. Are they even bettable?
I couldn't do it. I'm not saying I necessarily want to lay the 6 with the Grizzlies, but I'd be hard-pressed to take the 6 with the Nuggets. Like you said, no Jokic makes a world of difference. He's still the best player in the NBA, bar none, as far as I am concerned. But you take him out, Jamal Murray has been a shell of himself this year. Obviously, there's no Aaron Gordon. He has been hurt. And so then it's, you have Porter. The way that I attack this game is I took some unders, honestly, on player props. Like, I bet the under on Jamal Murray's points. I bet the under on Michael Porter Jr.'s points. I bet the under on Christian Brown's points. I'm not necessarily expecting them all to hit, but if 2 out of 3 do, obviously you're ahead. You're just getting, with no joker, you're getting inflated totals and numbers that don't really fit the guys they are associated with right now. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Grizzlies, do take this thing in relatively commanding fashion, even though I don't personally want to bet it. But in line, again, with some of those player unders, maybe it makes sense to take the under for the Nuggets team total. Do it that way as well. That'd be another way to attack this game.
Feels like it feels like a big number. It's 11, but there's no. It feels like the Lakers at home with absolutely no answer for Anthony Davis. I mean, what is Utah going to do here? It feels like the Lakers will have no problem running all over this Utah team. Ironically enough, the total's going up, but the Lakers line pretty much stagnant at 11 all day, not getting a ton of money, but it would have to be Lakers a pass, no?
It would, although it's funny. Like I on a daily basis, I'm having this internal battle of are the Lakers good again? Is JJ Redick actually a good coach? Is this where we're at this point? Because I mean, you got to credit Redick for what they're doing, right? Like Davis is playing great. Yep. He's been great all season long. LeBron again turning. I don't know if he's just showing out because his kid's on the sidelines now, and in uniform, not just watching from the stands, but like these 3-4 straight triple doubles. LeBron's playing out of his mind. He's not playing like a 40-year-old. So it's just crazy what the Lakers are doing. But I think in the case of the game tonight, Utah's just not good. This Jazz team is bad on the other side. So, yeah, I would lay the number with L.A.
Yeah, I think it's the only way to go. Looks like Doncic is ruled in after missing the last couple of games, so he's in against the Pelicans. 13, it's been bet up to 13 now. I don't think the Pelicans get to 100 points. If that's the case, all I want is the under in this game. Because why in the world? I mean, Dallas is not going to push the envelope here, and I think the Pelicans are going to slow it down to a crawl. I don't know how we get over 221.5 points in this one.
No, I think you're right. You know, some of these games have some interesting totals. Like we were on my show last night, we were looking at the under in this Hornets-Nets game, which at the time was approaching 223. It's 221.5 now, so has been bet down a little bit. We talked about the Nuggets and Grizzlies. May want to consider the under there. And the game that you're talking about, this Pelicans-Mavericks game, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it gets there, short of Luka going off, and I'm not sure he's going to be out there enough to go off. You may not even see him in the fourth quarter, depending on how lopsided this game gets. Just another one to throw out, because I know we're going to be wrapping here in a moment, but no Wemby for the Spurs. I mean, how do you not take the Thunder? And I know this line has been, climbing over the course of the day. It was 6 at one point. It's 10, but I'd still lay it with OKC.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't know why it's 9.5, just under double digits. The only way to look, and Vassal's not a guarantee either. So we'll have more with Adam Coffin when Game Time Decisions continues on the Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Hinting your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting...
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri, joined by our good friend Joe Madden, as we get ready for a loaded slate on the ice here tonight. Some great games, Joe, getting ready for the puck drop at the top of the hour. Of course, we've got Edmonton and Ottawa, but also Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. An interesting one here. What are we thinking, though, with this in Pittsburgh, by the way, top of the hour? What do we think we're going to get from the from the Penguins. Are they going to win this game at home?
You know what? I really think they should. Now, I had a little bit of a panic when I found out Tristan Jarry was confirmed, but when you actually dig down and look at Tristan Jarry in his career versus the Lightning, he's got great numbers. He's got a .926 save percentage of 2.45 goals against average, and I do think he can do enough in this game. Now, his numbers on the season are not great, though. We know it's been a struggle so far this season, 1-2 with a goals against average of 5.37. So he's absolutely going to have to bring it. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning rolling in here so strong. They won their last 2 games. They got that shutout win versus the New Jersey Devils. So offensively, this team is clicking. The power play's clicking at 19.6%. The Penguins will have to bring it all because Sidney Crosby and Malkin really have been the force offensively of this team, and the rest of them just not stepping up. We're going to need everyone to step up tonight, but we're getting great plus money with the Pittsburgh Penguins at home in this one, Joe. I'm going to hit on them tonight.
Ooh, going. All right, well then talk to me about this Edmonton and Ottawa game. Also puck dropping at the top of the hour. Second of a back-to-back for Edmonton. And what are we expecting here tonight for them?
You know what? We look at the Edmonton Oilers here, and they got shut out last night by the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the Canadiens always do play them tight. We saw Pickard come in for them in net, not Stuart Skinner. So Stuart Skinner is saved here for tonight. But we look at this Ottawa Senators team, Allmark expected in goal. He's got pretty decent numbers versus the Edmonton Oilers in his career. And we know one thing about the Sens. They've really been stepping up offensively. They've been finding the back of the net. I'm expecting them to hit the Edmonton Oilers and Stuart Skinner nice and hard in this game. They have the rest advantage in this one. And while we've seen Edmonton play the Sens hard, I do think the Senators, another home dog here. They once were. They have moved into that favorite position. I'm looking at them to be able to get the win. 5-2-1 at home this season. And yes, the Edmonton Oilers have been tough on the road, but I do think this team loses 2 in a row, getting the loss here again tonight on the second leg of a back-to-back. So give me the Ottawa Senators on the money line. I also like them in the first period. I think they can come out strong in that first period. You know, Connor McDavid's going to be upset off of that loss last night, and he has been so strong as of late. So if you really want to bet something for Edmonton, I look at Connor McDavid's points, but the books have it so low that juice that you have to lay on it, which leads me to believe they're just begging you to take Connor McDavid props tonight. I'm going to look at Brady Tkachuk here for the Ottawa Senators and Josh Norris. I think both of them can find the back of the net. Josh Norris for the anytime goal coming in at plus 200 and Brady Tkachuk at plus 165, Joe.
I love it. I also love the game the other night between Winnipeg and my Florida Panthers. I enjoyed watching that. But I guess we go round 2 here tonight after a 5-0 shutout win. What do we get here tonight, Joe? What do you think we're going to see?
Round 2 is going to be elite out there between these two goaltenders, Joe. I know the Florida Panthers were able to get Bobrovsky that shutout, put up 5 goals on Connor Hellebuyck, and I do think this is a complete battle out there. I think Connor Hellebuyck has that bounce-back game. I'm looking at the goalie props on both sides because I think this is going to be a lower-scoring game between these two, a game that has every opportunity of going to overtime. So I will take this one to overtime. I'm going to take Bobrovsky over the 26.5 save shots on goal, as well as Connor Hellebuyck over the 27.5 save shots on goal. Both of these teams in the last game did put up a lot of shots, and we will see these offenses really bringing it tonight, looking to get the win. The one thing about the Florida Panthers, Joe, you got to be so impressed with this team. Barkov was able to get a shorty in that last game versus the Winnipeg Jets. 5 shorties already on the season. They only had 8 all of last season. So this team is so strong, even when they're trying to kill penalties out there, able to score. So I love what we're seeing out of the Florida Panthers. I don't want to step in front of them, but I don't want to step in front of the Winnipeg Jets either. Give me both of the goalies. Give me the under. And then if you're really looking for goal scorers, I look at Kyle Connor here. for the Winnipeg Jets. That top six is just in a bit of a slump right now. I think we will see Kyle Connor find the back of the net and Matthew Tkachuk as well. You look at the Winnipeg Jets here, they are going to have last change being at home. Sam Reinhart and Barakov ate them up in that last game. They're going to be all over them, which leaves Matthew Tkachuk open out there on the ice to find the back of the net, Joe.
Yeah, it was a 27-shot save by Bobrovsky. I was shocked. It was only 27 shots. The defense of Florida certainly held up. That was their only loss at home for Winnipeg this year, but the Panthers quietly 6-2 on the road now. So they are taking that championship caliber hockey on the road with them, and it's a pleasure to see here. We also have another one coming up here tonight regarding the St. Louis Blues taking on Minnesota. They're a dog here. I mean, the Blues are at home as a dog. Any value looking their way, or is it just Minnesota for you?
No, it's the St. Louis Blues again. I'm loving the dogs tonight, Joe. You look at Binghamton in net for the St. Louis Blues. He's got such strong numbers versus the Minnesota Wild in his career. 2.72 goals against average, 907 save percentage. We've got the Wild. They're in kind of a slump themselves. They are off that loss to the Dallas Stars. And we look at this road trip they're on. First night tonight. They have the Oilers on deck on Thursday and the Flames on Saturday. This might be a little bit of a look-past spot, even though this is a battle of the Central out there. I just think the St. Louis Blues with Binghamton and the defense that this team brings to the table can get the win tonight, Joe.
I think they get back Robert Thomas tonight, too, the Blues, who had, 86 points last year. So why not? They can use all the help they can get against Minnesota. I'm with you. I like them at that price. All right, don't go anywhere, Joe. We got a few more games we want to break down on the ice with you as Game Time Decisions will continue here on the grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Hinted your own cheek. As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network as we look to round out this hour. Joe Raineri alongside Joe Madden. To the ice we go as finishing up a couple of games here tonight, Joe, on a loaded slate here in the National Hockey League. Let's talk about a game that somebody has got to win, I guess, right? Between Anaheim and the Chicago Blackhawks, two teams that struggle. I don't know if the right word, but, well, they're just horrific, the both of them. But somebody's got to win it. So how are we approaching Anaheim and Chicago tonight?
Well, you said it, Joe. Someone has to win. And if you're looking at which team I think it is, it has to be the plus money here with the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks are on a second night of a back-to-back, but this team came out so strong last night, and they were able to get the win versus the Dallas Stars. 4-2 win out there. We're getting them at plus 152 right now on the money line, and I do think it's a smart way to go. John Gibson has looked pretty decent on the season. While he doesn't have great numbers versus the Chicago Blackhawks, this is the Chicago Blackhawks that in their last 5 regulation games, they've scored 1 or less goals. Like, they are not lighting the lamp on any given night. So John Gibson between the pipes, I do think, has a nice solid game tonight. Peter Mrazek will be on the other side. It's the plus money for me for the Ducks to keep rolling. I think it's a lower scoring game though, the under 6.5, because the Ducks are scoring with Troy Terry, but there's not a lot of weapons on this team. So could they win in another 4-2 game? Probably 4-1 game. More than likely, Connor Bedard might get on the score sheet tonight. But he was so disappointing in Vancouver when he made his return back. So I don't know if he's going to show up tonight, Joe.
All right. Well, then I got to ask you, of course, about your Calgary Flames. I think last time we saw them, nice win against Nashville. The Islanders lost a tough one there against Seattle, but Calgary at home, always a good place to look to back them. Should we be backing them here at this price tonight?
Yeah, absolutely, because it looks like Dustin Wolf will be in net for the Calgary Flames tonight. He's been standing on his head night in, night out, and I do think Ryan Huska, what he said to the media this week on, hey, this kid, let's not start over pumping his tires, basically looking at him for any of the awards. It's only November. He needs to play stronger for the rest of the season. I think that's going to ignite the fire in Wolf because Wolf has looked so strong out there on the ice. I'm looking for Calgary to get the win straight up on the money line. The New York Islanders here, this is another team that really hasn't been lighting the lamp a lot. It is scary though, because with Patrick Waugh coming into Calgary, we know he's one of those coaches that will pull his goaltender Varlamov at any given point if this team is down. So I'm not touching that total. I could see this one getting into that high shootout battle out there, but I have more faith in Calgary finishing it off, Joe.
Like in Calgary at a pretty decent price. It seems like the Rangers' price is a little short too, as they take on Vancouver here tonight. Injury concerns, obviously, with Vancouver. No JT Miller, apparently. Also, Brock Boeser also out. That's a big. That seems like a light number for me with this Rangers team on the road taking on Vancouver.
Yeah, it's a completely light number, especially with Igor Shesterkin in goal tonight for the New York Rangers. I'm all over the Rangers in this one, though, Joe. You said it. JT Miller, I expected him earlier this morning to be in this lineup. With JT Miller in the lineup, I love this one to go to overtime. We're really going to need playmakers like Quinn Hughes to step up for the Vancouver Canucks tonight against his New York Rangers team to push this one to overtime. I still think there's a possibility because the Rangers in some of these games have had their lapses. I'm looking for both of these teams to really push because we look here at the Vancouver Canucks. They are coming off that loss to the Predators. In the game before, they beat the Chicago Blackhawks with Connor Bedard making his return. That was one where Rick Tocchet was saying to the press, I am sorry for these losses at home because Vancouver's been struggling at home. So I think both of these teams, they need this win tonight. The Rangers coming off winning their last 2, they've been so strong defensively. So this is going to be a back and forth battle. I think the Rangers can get it done. It is scary with the price we're getting with all of the injuries on Vancouver that it's still a pick 'em, but I have to go with the Rangers. I'm looking at Adam Fox for his point tonight. It's coming in at plus 100. And then for the anytime goal, plus 700. He's so strong from that blue line. You got to love an offensive defenseman here in this one, Joe.
I like it. I'm looking 3-7 at home this Vancouver. Not good. And the Rangers, meanwhile, 6-1 on the road here. They are certainly getting it done. I'm with you. I look for them to get it done again tonight. Joe, enjoy the games. Keep cashing those tickets. GTD back next here on the Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, there we go. I have no idea where that is. Okay, welcome back. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. A very happy Tuesday now, November let's just call it the 19th, I think. And we've got plenty going on here tonight as the NBA back in action, NBA Cup with the game of the night, game of the season thus far is the 15-0 Cleveland Cavs getting ready to take on the 11-3 Boston Celtics, defending champs. That game getting ready to tip here in just a couple of minutes. We told you about a great slate of NHL games, but who are we kidding? The king of all kings, the NFL, is what's on our mind here, and our good friend Mike Blewett in the house stepping in. Of course, you can catch Mike and I every Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, as we get you everything you need to know during the games, the early slate of games in the NFL here, Mike. And we've got a interesting game coming up Thursday this week, but I got to get your thoughts because it's never good when the Jets are dominating the headlines on a random Tuesday afternoon. And that's exactly what they did again here today, firing Joe Douglas, which, let's be realistic, Mike, nobody saw this not coming. We just didn't think it would make any sense for it to come until the season ended. But apparently Woody Johnson thought otherwise and thought maybe now is the time he's got to go. I don't have a problem. Listen, either it's a success league, right? Put up or shut up. He didn't put up in 6 seasons. They didn't renew him. But my goodness, why today, Tuesday, week 12? Mike, what are we doing?
30-64 is his record. You and I have talked about it on a regular basis on In Game Live. For all of the coaching changes that you could make, Joe Douglas put this team together. He was a rising star in the NFL general manager circuit, assistant general manager circuit. The Jets gave him a lot of money. He was in Philly. He was in Baltimore. He had pedigree, and it just has not worked out. And even some of the star players or previously star players that he's drafted, seems like the bloom has come off the rose, notably Sauce Gardner. There's doubts as whether or not the Jets should even pick up his fifth-year option after his third season. So you have to wonder, the tone of the team is obviously way off. Aaron Rodgers has been given far too much power. I'm not suggesting that he is solely responsible for Joe Douglas being fired, but the only thing that logically made sense after the Robert Saleh firing was that Aaron Rodgers was somehow involved in that. He says he wasn't. Do you take him at his word? He's a tough guy to take at his word at this point. He's pulled far too many strings. He's an aging quarterback that hasn't performed like he used to. There are many problems with this team. It starts with ownership and goes all the way down. Things rot from the top, right, Joe? And I don't really know why these midseason the goal of a midseason firing in this instance is not to make the team better. It's to embarrass someone or try to distance yourself from it. But nobody should distance Woody Johnson from any of this. This is his mess.
I agree 100%. And also, it makes no sense because you're in all likelihood going to be looking to take somebody from another organization, and you can't do that until the regular season is over anyway. You can't even interview anybody. So what
Plus, they
what
just
are you
saw what
doing?
you did. They just saw what you did to the last guy.
Exactly. Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. But the Jets will be the Jets. In the meantime, the Steelers never have to worry about that sort of dysfunction because they've only had, 3 coaches in 900 years. And Tomlin, of course, will have an opportunity to keep the streak rolling against the Browns on Thursday night. Now, I looked ahead, Mike, on this game Sunday night, and the weather report was damning. Expecting rain and floods in the Cleveland area all week, especially Thursday. 30-mile-an-hour winds, sustained no less, expected. So when this thing was at 40, I kind of scratched my head and said, all right, weather changes, but it's worth a shot at the under. It's down to 35.5, and I still think this thing is going to go down closer to 32 before kickoff once people get a whiff of what's coming with Mother Nature.
Yeah, I think you are looking at these teams running the ball quite a bit. The Steelers don't get over very often, Joe. Anyway, you nailed their game 2 weeks ago against the Commanders, but the other day against the Ravens, it went back the other way. We had missed field goals on one hand, but a lot of field goal attempts too. The only way this is really going to get over, in my opinion, is Jameis somehow has a good Jameis game, which we didn't see the other day, that's for sure. It's 2 bad Jameis games in a row. And are the Steelers really going to put the ball in the air and try to get creative in this game? I just don't see it. Najee Harris has had a really good season, and Jaylen Warren back and being healthy, they have a nice 1-2 punch. I think they can sustain some of that success against this Cleveland Browns team. And unfortunately for the Steelers, their red zone stuff is really bad right now. I've heard some people call the Steelers frauds. I don't think it's that at all. I think the Steelers are a really good team, but they have some challenges in terms of being a Super Bowl champion. It doesn't mean that they're frauds. They're a very good team, but the red zone stuff has to get figured out, Joe. They can't. It's the second game this year where Boswell has had to kick 6 field goals. They won both of those games, 18-10 against the Falcons, and now 18-16 against the Ravens. So they have to figure that out long term. But in a game like this, you wonder how many opportunities they'll have to get in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, you and I watched that game with the Browns, and the reason that we liked the Browns and Jameis, it was indoors, and he is very good and dangerous when he can just let it air out and throw the ball. When we've got 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds in Cleveland in the rain, nobody is throwing. They're not airing anything out on either side there. I do think after what we saw from that Browns defense, I think the Steelers can keep it on the ground, and they can score more than enough points to be able to win that game there. But, I mean, you mentioned it there, Mike. It doesn't sound like you're completely sold that this is truly a Super Bowl contender out of the AFC. What do you need to see from them in order to get you to sway that way? Because they are built to win in late December, January, are they not?
Yes, but I think when you're 8-2 and a 2 games clear in your own division against Baltimore, who before the other day, Joe, a lot of people saying they still may be the best team in the AFC. It's kind of hard to argue that now, given some of the issues that they've shown. Field goal kicking, their defensive backfield, which actually played a good game the other day, but their defensive backfield has been an issue this year. They give up tons of yards. When you're playing somebody like the Bills or the Ravens again or the Chiefs, you're going to have to get in the end zone. And that is just still a problem. You and I have watched them every week, and the Steelers are really good in almost every facet. But when it gets down to the red zone, they are stalling and kicking far too many field goals. So I think they are a contender. But in order to get past those 3 teams that I just mentioned, and maybe even a Texans team, or when they play Cincinnati later in the year, Joe, they're going to have to score touchdowns because Joe Burrow is not going to get completely stuffed by any defense really at this point.
Yeah, 16 of 36, Mike, to your point. 44% of their red zone possessions have landed as touchdowns, that being the Steelers. That's 30th in the league. And you're right, something has got to give there if we're going to take them seriously, because you're not going to keep winning games without scoring touchdowns. You're the only team that's been able to do it not just once, but twice this year, which is kind of crazy. But Thursday Night Football should be a lot of fun, Mike. Of course, we'll see you during the week on the early line once again on Friday. Enjoy tonight, my man. Enjoy the Thursday night as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the room.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, joined by the man taking over here, top of the hour, Scotty Wetzel, for a little in-game live tonight on what is a loaded slate across the sports betting universe here, Scotty. And, of course, we'll start in the NBA, where the game of the night, the game of the year so far, early on in this NBA season, little NBA Cup action. The Celtics hosting the undefeated Cavs. The Cavs trying to become just the second team in NBA history to start the season 16-0. Of course, that famous 2015-16 Golden State Warriors team. I think they rattled off 24 in a row. But boy, oh boy, this is going to be a hell of a test. They are off and running so far in this one, Scotty. It did just tip off. Celtics out to a 12-4 lead. In-game number is 10.5. But, listen, I don't think the Cavs are going to roll over. The last game they lost, Scotty, was Game 5 against the Celtics in last year's playoffs, and that entire team is back. Both of these entire teams are back. So I do think this is going to be a fight to the finish. I don't think it's going to be a blowout one way or the other. What about you?
Yeah, that's why I'm grabbing Cleveland. You want to get the extra points now. FanDuel's got it at 8.5. When they squared off, it was 6.5. So go ahead. It's early on, 12-4, right? Like
yes.
You mentioned. I love betting on teams also, Joe. Forget the fact that they're 15-0, right? And they've covered darn near every one of those games, 11-4 against the spread. Forget the fact that the Celtics are 0-4 against the spread their last 4 home games. Forget all that. I just generally love betting on teams when they faced the team that eliminated them in the playoffs the year before the first time.
Yep.
All the motivations on Cleveland. And don't forget, that was a wounded, Cleveland team. That wasn't their full-strength team because Donovan Mitchell got hurt, if you remember. So, you know what? I don't know if they win, but you want to give me 8.5 with a team that's 15-0. Celtics really haven't played great. They're winning games, but they're not covering. Only 7-7 overall against the spread. Like I said, they haven't covered the last 4 home games. Give me Cleveland plus the 8.5 right now, and again, expect this one to go down to the wire, and maybe just maybe Cleveland win. They play again in about a week, so they got more cupcakes before the schedule really kind of picks up. So if they can get by this one, I think they got Atlanta on there and Charlotte. There's like 4 games where they can get 4 more wins if they get by this one.
Yeah, I just jumped in at 10.5, Scotty. I mean, it's absurd now. This game will go back and forth. These two teams are playing exceptional basketball. This is not the Brooklyn Nets the Celtics are playing. But speaking of the Nets, that's the next game up 7:30, bottom of the hour here, Scotty, taking on the Charlotte Hornets. I was really high on the Nets last week, and then I watched them play these last 3 games, and I literally threw up watching them. So I'm not sure that I trust the Nets here. They are laying 3, although I'm seeing that down to about 1.5 now. I don't know. Charlotte, is it a dog night? What do you think we're going to get here?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I watched them play, and outside of one quarter where the Knicks nearly blew another 25-plus point lead, outside of that, they lost back-to-back games against the Knicks. So as tempting as it is to grab them and pick them, I'm not going to do that. Can't possibly take Charlotte on the road to actually win a game. So let's go under, Joe. It's at 220 now. It was 221 this afternoon when I put it in. NBA best, Charlotte, 9-4 under. Complete opposite of last year when they were losing games, 130 to 120. Maybe they realize that's not successful, so they're trying to slow it down a little bit. Brooklyn can slow it down with the best of them as well. So give it the under 220 now. Charlotte at Brooklyn.
I like that there. All right, we also learned, of course, Denver without Jokic, personal reasons, I believe, birth of his child. So he'll be away from the team, but he was away from the team, Scotty, when we just saw this last week against Memphis, and Memphis bulldozed them. I've got issues with this Denver team. They don't have any depth. They got no bench. And now you take the Joker out. That's even less reasons to bet them here. Although, are we running to the window, laying 6 with Memphis?
Yeah, it's a big number, right? This is one of those games where, Joe, you hope Denver comes out to an early, 12-4 lead like the Celtics are doing, right? And get that number down a little bit, but I'm going to do it. I'm disappointed in this Denver team, too. Joker or not, one of the worst spread teams in the NBA, 4-7-1, believe it or not, against the spread. Only 7-5 straight up, and they've lost some ugly home games as well. Meanwhile, you got Memphis not only covering that game, Memphis going for their 7th straight cover. 6 straight covers for the Grizz. They're at home. It's a big number, but, more times than not, when everything is said and done, these teams end up winning by 8 to 10 to 12 points, even if it's a close game. So I'll lay the 6 on Memphis to start.
Laying it with Memphis. And then the other game, which I thought the total was not a bad way to approach it. Doncic is in for Dallas. Nobody is in once again for New Orleans.
Yeah.
This team, I don't see how they score 100 points, Scotty, which means if I'm Dallas, they're going to win the game. But is Doncic even playing in the fourth quarter? Like, what? How are we getting over this number? But 13 is also a huge number.
Yeah, look at that money line, minus 770 for an NBA regular season game. Wow, right? So I guess you just hold your nose and hope that the Dallas wins by 20 plus. That's where I'm going to go. I can't bet on New Orleans. New Orleans, Joe, is yet to cover a game on the road this year. 0-6. I mean, you're right. You said it. You and I could play for this New Orleans Pelicans team. I said Memphis. New Orleans, I meant. New Orleans, 0-6 on the road. You and I could play for them. I mean, the whole world is out. I just realistically, I don't know how they keep pace, right? I mean, I know things in the NBA, star players, a little better on those teams, but it's been a few games now. It's the whole freaking team. I mean, so they're 4-10. They stink. 4-10 against the spread. Like I said, 0-6 on the road. Yeah, give me Dallas at home, laying the 13, and just hope that this, like I said, ends up being a 20-point game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a extremely interesting night. A lot of double-digit favorites there, Scotty. Lakers are laying a big number here tonight against Utah. I don't hate it there. But, of course, no Wembanyama makes backing San Antonio. No Vassell, maybe. They're missing out on so much firepower there. So it can only be OKC. So an interesting night as far as the spreads go at the NBA. I love what we got on the ice tonight, Scotty. We'll talk about some of those games when Game Time Decisions continues on the ground.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you hinting your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Mr. Opposite Pick, Scotty Wetzel. Getting ready, of course, top of the hour. We'll hand the baton off as in-game live is coming your way. And, Scotty, you'll be keeping an eye on not only the games in the NBA here, which, by the way, it's now a 20-14 Celtics lead there as the Cavs have cut into that lead with about 3 minutes ago in the first quarter. But also on the ice tonight, Scotty, I love some of these games here tonight. And you know already that I'm looking for back-to-back shutouts against Winnipeg with my boys there in the Florida Panthers. Don't know that we're going to get that. However, the Edmonton Oilers here tonight getting ready to kick things off, coming up against Ottawa. Ottawa's the healthier, more rested team. Are you buying that here tonight against the Oilers?
Boy, I'm not. First of all, shocking news is literally shocking news for me. As a Bruins fan, the Bruins fired their head coach today, Jim Montgomery. That is like
yes. What is that?
Holy crap! It's tough. Listen, it's hard in the NFL, Joe. It's hard in the NBA and baseball. I get that, but there is no sport that fires coaches on a whim like the NHL. I mean, the guy had one of the Coach of the Year 2 years ago, greatest record in almost the history of the sport. Okay, doesn't perform in the postseason. I get that 2 straight years, and for that you get whacked after 20 games. Wow, hockey is tough. It really is. So back to the board tonight. Yeah, listen, what am I missing? I got Edmonton Pick'em against Ottawa. I know they're banged up a little bit, but it's not like Ottawa's playing great. They've lost 2 in a row entering this game. Edmonton's owned this series, as you would think they would, because they've been the better team over the years. 12-3 their last 15 meetings with the Senators. So I'll take my chances with Edmonton at Pick'em. Against a mediocre Ottawa team. Like I said, it's not like Ottawa's won 5 in a row or something crazy like that. It's still a stinking Ottawa Senators. So give me Edmonton at Pick'em. I'll take my chances.
All right, taking Edmonton here. Why not? Not a bad way, but you're right. I mean, they're 8-9 through 20 games. And they just lost 5-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I guess the fact that, they won the President's Cup trophy and the guy has done nothing but, make the Bruins and put them in a position there to be pretty successful. They just can't get past the Florida Panthers. But my goodness. See you later. Got to go. We'll see how that works out for you. Minnesota tonight taking on St. Louis, who also is getting some guys back here a little bit healthier tonight. But that's a big prize for a home dog here. Is it worth a shot with the Blues here tonight?
It might be, but I tell you, I like the over-unders tonight more than anything else. So I'm going to go under in this game. Can't lay that big wood with Minnesota on the road, even though they're a very good road team. But give me the under, Joe. It's 5.5. Don't generally like to do 5.5s, but 4-1 under last 5 meetings between these two teams. Good start. Minnesota's allowed the NHL fewest goals, 41 goals. So you got a history, and then St. Louis generally is 9-7-3 under as well. So they lean towards the under. Certainly Minnesota does. There's a short little history there of unders. So give me a 3-2, maybe a 3-1, 4-1 type of win. Give me the under 5.5.
Oh, looking at the under 5.5 there. All right, I asked Joe Madden last hour, is it true, Scotty, somebody has to win this game between the Ducks and the Blackhawks, right? Like they have to, or can we play the tie, or nobody cares, or how are we playing this game?
This might be, Joe, believe it or not, the best bet on the board tonight in all sports, let alone hockey. Let me just double check and make sure the line is still where it was. It is. I don't get it. That would be my only little caveat. This line makes no sense. Back to the unders. I love the under here. Get a look. It's 6.5. I thought for sure this would flip to 5.5, and it's not. Maybe get some backup goalies, but who cares, right? Here you go. Under. Anaheim this year, one of the best under teams in the league. 11-5-1 under. Blackhawks right behind them at 10-5-3 under, including 5 straight unders the Blackhawks have played. Both teams have scored 43 goals. That is the second fewest goals they're tied for in the league in scoring. I mean, the whole thing says under, but it's 6.5, Joe. Why is that with all those unders? So that's what makes me not put the mortgage on it, but I do love the under. And then real quickly, I'll give you the under Islanders in Calgary. 5.5 as well. Calgary 9-1 under their last 10 games.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Islanders coming off that 3-2 loss there to Seattle. All right, Scotty, always a pleasure. We'll see you here in just a few for In-Game Live, but we still got much more to get you caught up with. Some college football rankings are out. We'll let you know what they are next here on GTD.
The sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by. As well, we're excited here as the college football rankings, the latest rankings are out. And of course, well, this should come as no surprise to anybody as the third top 25 ranking of this 2024 season doesn't see a whole lot changing in the top five as far as that goes. Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana round out the top five, of course, with Oregon being your number one team in the country, despite the scare that Wisconsin gave at Camp Randall on Saturday night. So we know Ohio State and Indiana will be playing each other this weekend. That should be a heck of a game. Texas, along with Penn State, still holding strong, although Texas still has a big game coming up against Texas A&M at some point. But then you've got 6 through 12, which is interesting. Notre Dame, who takes on top 25 Army this week. Bama, Miami comes in at number 8. Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and then, of course, Boise State. Who is 9-1, will be part of the, that big five or power five that is going to get an automatic seed here. And I think right now projected to be a number 4 seed. I don't see Boise State losing another game. Dave Sharapan stepping in here as he too going to take over at the top of the hour with Scotty Wetzel for In-Game Live. Nothing surprising here, Dave, I think, with this college football release, except for the fact that I'm worried that if Indiana gets blown out by Ohio State, the committee is going to have 5 SEC teams in the top 12 because they're not going to look at Indiana's resume and say an 11-1 Indiana who gets blown out by the only team they played that was worth a while being Ohio State. They're not better than a 2-loss SEC team. And there's a bunch of them, Dave, that are going to be 2-loss SEC teams that they'll probably pick over Indiana. So here we go again with the committee.
Here we go again. Great to see you, Joe. Yeah, you're right. Listen, I've been trying to defend the Big Ten for as long as possible for a number of years. And I don't know if there's a defense, but think about this for a second. What if Indiana wins? And then the whole thing is flipped. Penn State wins.
Yep.
Ohio State's only good win, becomes against Penn State, who is no good. So, I mean, that's the game of the week. Indiana's the story of the season. They're undefeated. They're blowing teams out. Signetti's telling everybody about it. I love the guy. He's from Pittsburgh. I love it. Feels like, every uncle that I had, every, coach and stuff. I think it's great. I still don't know if I would take them plus the points as of today. Now, hopefully by the end of the week, I'll feel a little better. Maybe it'll creep up a little higher. But I don't know what to do with the game other than watch it. I mean, it's a big noon kickoff, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Yep.
So they catch them early. I don't know, Joe. I mean, Penn State, Georgia is on that bracket as the matchup. I mean, Penn State's a dog in that game, even at home. I don't know. That's is it worthy of? I don't know.
I mean, I'm Tennessee right now. If you go with the rankings, right? Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas. That's 5 SEC teams right there. And you still have Texas A&M, who's a 2-loss team, which you're laughing at this point because here we go again with the SEC.
If they beat Texas, they're in. I mean, it's hard to argue that they're not in.
And Texas will be a 2-loss team. Another SEC 2-loss team. That is just, I can't. To me, everything hinges upon Ohio State, whether they win and how big do they win. Because I think if it's a close game, I don't think it matters. I think Indiana's in, Ohio State's in, Penn State's in, and all is well with the college football landscape.
Well, I saw today that somebody tweeted out the 10 scenarios that could play out in the Big Ten. And that was decided basically that Oregon's in the Big Ten championship. So they have games left. It doesn't matter. They're in. And whoever plays them will be in. As of right now, those might be the only 2 Big Ten teams in. And, I mean, Penn State's got to get in. If they win out, they're a 1-loss team, and their name is Penn State. They'll host the game. There'll be 110,000 people there in December, and everybody will be happy with the game itself. The team that has to travel there won't be happy. The kids will be home from school, so I don't know if the student section will be filled, but they'll find a way to get people in those seats.
Correct.
I don't know. I thought we were going to get clarity with a 12-team playoff, and it feels like we got more chaos. But realistically, Joe, when you look at the odds to win it all, it's going to be determined by the path so much because the team that's got to play the first week is going to have to win what? So we go from 12 to 6 to 4, 12 to 8 to 4 to 2 to 1. So they got to win 4 games, Joe. I mean, that's you can parlay that out. Who do you want on that list? Do you want Ohio State's the odds-on favorite? Oregon? They got to win how many games? I mean, the bye teams at least, like mathematically, you're better off just rolling it over and picking 4 games probably for at least the top teams and asking one of the lesser teams to win 4 games with 1 maybe home and 3 travels. That's a lot. It's a 3-game road trip.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Also going to be very interesting because I think obviously BYU's loss over the weekend to Kansas in Provo has now opened up a whole lot of questions about who's winning the Big 12 here. And it looks like, what are we going to get? One Big 12 team? The champion is Colorado in the conversation. Can Colorado actually pull it off and win a Big 12 championship and be in there, which I think would be great because let's face it, anything that Dion is going to be in and Colorado is going to be in is probably going to be the most watched game, no matter who it is that they play there. I mean, potential Heisman winner. I think the committee is going to look at that and say if they can get Colorado in, they're going to get Colorado in as a 2-loss team here with a chance to win the Big 12.
They're 3-point favorites this week, though, Joe.
I know.
Only 3-point favorites at Kansas. Kansas just took BYU out, there. So now they get a home game, and it's only 3. BYU's got a hard game against Arizona State. The Big 12 is a mess. I mean, Iowa State already with 2 losses isn't out of it. Because if they win out, then they're going to get a shot at the game, which would then get them a shot into the playoff. Oh, it's going to be great. Like the next 3 weeks of the banter back and forth, the talk. I always love to come back to the numbers, though. Like you always have to look at the numbers and value what teams are favored over who, where. I hated doing those theoretical lines, but I mean, you see that the odds to win it all, is Ohio State really the best team in the country today? I don't know.
Listen, it was Oregon until they barely won against Wisconsin, but they did beat Ohio State. So I'm not sure how Oregon's still not favored above them in any way, shape, or form. Not to mention, Notre Dame's playing a top 25 team in Army this week. Notre Dame wins that game. They're going to win out. And I'm not sure anybody wants to play Notre Dame, if we're being completely honest with you. That's a real defense. That's a championship quality defense. Notre Dame might be worth a look-see here in the future market, too, as much as people don't want to. They want to love to hate Notre Dame, Dave, but I'm not sure we can this year. I think they got an opportunity here. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back with Dave next here on the Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri joined by Dave Sharapan. He'll be taking over here in just a few. Scotty Wetzel for In-Game Live. No doubt they are going to be keeping you posted on what's happening with the game of the night, Dave. And you are repping the hat of the Cleveland Cavaliers, undefeated 15-0, trying to become just that second team to start the season 16-0. And it wasn't a great start, but boy, things have leveled out here a little bit. I got 39-32 7 minutes ago in the second quarter. What did you have there? Were you looking at the Cavs and points?
You know, these things always end, right? And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just wanted Cleveland to win this game for no other reason than so my co-host on Bostonian versus the Book, Matt Peralt, wouldn't chirp and talk about Boston can just win against everybody and anybody anytime they want. They are the best team. They have the most depth. Porzingis wasn't playing. Cleveland +6. Let's get there. I mean, I'm going to be watching it with Wetzel on In-Game Live. He's another Boston guy, Celtics guy, blah, 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 blah. Somebody's got to represent Cleveland. They're 15-0, and nobody's talking about it. All they're doing is blowing teams out. They're winning against the spread.
Yep.
The games are fun and entertaining. They're going over the total. It's right on the total pace, though. 229.5 right now in game, and it's sitting on 8.5. You're going to see so much fluctuation. I've been enjoying watching Cleveland play, and I've had them multiple times in this streak, just kind of sneaky watching them, and they're covered by double digits on the regular. So hoping they cover, hoping they win. But it might be nothing more than hope tonight because these things always come to an end.
Yeah, it's, I mean, listen, they're not going to lay down any stretch here. The last game they lost, ironically enough, was Game 5 of the playoffs last year against the Boston Celtics. So that was actually the last game they lost. We'll see if they can make this a game. I think they will. This game, by the way, trending to the under right now, 227.5. In game right now for that 235.5, I think is what it closed at. So the game is trending to the under. Let me ask you though here. Let me take you over to the ice quick tonight.
Yep.
What are the chances my Panthers get a second shutout victory in Winnipeg here and just put the entire NHL on blast and be like, enough, you're not beating us, it's over?
I can't wait to watch this game. I mean, this has been dubbed a Stanley Cup preview. Winnipeg almost had as good of a start as Cleveland, right, in basketball. Yep. But Winnipeg has won a lot of games, only lost one, right? And Florida is the defending Stanley Cup champion. A little bit of contrast as far as offensive team, defensive team. Florida's very physical. They're beating teams up. I mean, they are bullies, and that's how you win in hockey. Yep. And they're not afraid of anybody. So it's going to be a physical game. A lot of penalties, I would think. You would normally think, oh, two good teams cross-conference might meet down the road in the Stanley Cup. Under, I like over tonight. And I usually shade to the under, but I expect goals in this one. So we'll see. I haven't got confirmation yet on the goalies, but once you get that, so it's Bobrovsky and Hellebuck. So we got number one. That's perfect. Okay, that's what we need. I wanted to ask you, did you see the Blackhawks and the Ducks line today? Like the Chicago Blackhawks are minus what? Is that right?
Yeah.
Minus 180, Joe?
What does that tell you about how terrible Anaheim is at this point? And I asked Scotty Wetzel and Joe Madden, somebody's got to win the game, right? They just can't declare it a draw and just end the season. Apparently not. Apparently somebody has to win that. The market is clearly thinking that the Blackhawks somehow or another have, I don't know what, the better team. I beg to differ, but that's okay. And it's up to minus 170 now. Ducks on the road, by the way, against Chicago. So, I'm sorry. Ducks are on the road there. Yeah. Minus 175 now for them. That's just ugly across the board. Maybe even over. And I believe that's what Scotty Wetzel thought was the play of the night was expect goals, and more goals here tonight. No problem with that. I
I'm
also
on
have
board
no
with that.
idea why the Rangers are short numbered tonight against Vancouver, given the Vancouver injuries. I don't get that either.
Another one where I let's see. Oh no, we got Igor and Silvos. Okay.
Yep.
So now we got number ones there too. So yeah,
Yep.
I think so. What you see like right now is teams on the road that are being adjusted like the Wild tonight. Gigantic price
Right.
on the road at St. Louis. But the Rangers on the road at Vancouver on that Alberta swing, on that Western Canada swing, short favorite. Sometimes I love to play those short favorites. Sometimes I feel like after the game, I feel like I missed something and go, geez, we should have probably had the home dog there. I don't know. I like the Rangers pregame in that one, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But 6-4 in their last 10. I got it here, and they're only giving up 2.4 goals a game. So Rangers, yes, I like Rangers in hockey.
Yeah, I'm with you. JT Miller out. There's a few guys that are out for them now, Vancouver, that makes it hard to see why this number is so light here tonight. And by the way, do you agree all the Bruins problems will go away now that they fired Montgomery, who was coach of the year a couple of years ago? Like what is going 8-9-3 start to the season? Apparently the Bruins are a little delusional here. What do you think, Dave?
There's got to be something there, Joe, inside of that room or inside of that building, right? Where it was like, I mean, it was 2 years ago they won the President's Cup.
I know.
It was last year. They made the playoffs. Like they had a slow start and they lost, Pierre Bergeron, like they lost the core of their team, the heart, the guy that's been there for a long time. These things take a little time to transition. Well, they gave him the beginning of the season. 20 games in, you're out. That's it. Bye.
Not if you're Boston. Not if you're Boston. All right, Sheriff Pan, we're going to see you top of the hour here with Scotty Wetzel. We'll close it out. Game Time Decisions next on the...
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we get ready to close it out and, of course, pass the baton off to Mr. Dave Sharapan and Scotty Wetzel coming up for In-Game Live with actually plenty going on here tonight. We were talking some NHL hockey, couple of games underway right now with already 3 goals scored quickly, it looks like, in that Edmonton-Ottawa matchup, not to mention the Lightning losing to the Penguins 1-0, which no doubt Dave Sharapan, underneath his Cavs gear, is without a doubt excited about the Pittsburgh Penguins' possibility of winning this game. Oh, let me ask you this, too, here, Sharapan, because I forgot. Thursday night here, your Steelers on the road taking on the Browns. I hear the weather is going to be absolutely horrendous in that game. Are you buying the Steelers in this one?
Almost went. And I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. Joe, I'm soft. I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh, born and raised, spent my first 26 years there. And I have West Coast soft now. I can't do it. I was like, wait, it's going to be cold? No, not for me. Steelers have been so much fun. They're winning games against hated division rivals like the Baltimore Ravens without scoring a touchdown. It doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
They didn't score a touchdown. And that's the second game they won this season without scoring a touchdown. So, I don't know. I was a little kid in the 70s, but I remember everybody talking about the team then and how they won with defense, and they shut teams out in back-to-back weeks and different things like that. They didn't shut out the Ravens, but they ain't going to Cleveland to lose. Now, the line is 3.5, and the odds makers did a good job with that number because they're giving people pause where they're going, gee, should I take the points? Is this a field goal game? Listen, I'll be the first one to raise my hand that I thought Cleveland was a good bet on Sunday. I had the Cleveland Browns. I really thought they were going to go down to New Orleans off a bye and win, and they look like crap. And I don't want nothing to do with them, especially going forward, especially on Thursday. I got to leave you with this. I can't believe that Bills fans aren't excited that they beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Josh Allen back near the top for the MVP. I mean, like, everything's coming up Buffalo and Pittsburgh. That is the dream AFC matchup for football fans in that whole region. Man, who doesn't want that? I would love to see that.
Yeah, they love, but they've been down this road. You know, there's only so many regular season wins against a team you can be excited about. If you can't beat them in January, then there's no point in being excited. I will say this, that is the one thing that appears to be a little different about the attitude and the demeanor of this Bills team. Yeah, they're not celebrating wins like that against. They're not talking it up. They're not doing anything. There seems to be a calmness around this team this year that we have not seen with the Buffalo Bills. Will it translate into wins in the postseason? Well, we'll find out certainly soon enough. But at this point, the Jets have fired everybody. I'm not sure who else is left to fire. So the AFC East, I think, is in good shape, Sharapan. I think the Bills are good to win the AFC East. Just saying.
I was going to tell you or Sam to shine up the resume and send it to the Jets for the GM job. Maybe you get a shot. Maybe you get an interview. I mean, they need help. It's a complete mess. I mean, I don't know what to make of it.
Nope.
Thank goodness. The Jets are like, I mean, it's pick 'em against the bye week this week. The Jets are pick 'em against the bye week.
Yes.
It's a mess.
Correct.
All right, I got to go.
It is a mess.
Get out of here.
Listen, get out of here. Mark my words. The Jets are so Jets, they're going to hire Adam Gase again. I'm telling you right now. Adam Gase will be the general manager because the Jets can't get out of their own way. I'm getting a little nauseous even saying it. But, yes, that's the reality of the New York Jets here. Yes, or Nate Hackett may just elevate him to head coach. That's another great one, too. All right, we've got a update in the NBA. The Celtics running away with it here, 65-48, getting ready to go into the half. So they dropped 65 points on this undefeated Cavs defense. Will the Cavaliers bounce back in the second half? That's a big if. We'll see what happens there. But, of course, Scotty Wetzel and Dave Sharapan will take it over here in just a minute for In Game Live. on the Sports Grid Network. Get ready for it. Plus, the big game on the ice tonight, Winnipeg taking on the Florida Panthers, the champion Florida Panthers. Looking forward to that game. Should be a great night in sports. Enjoy it all. Game Time Decisions will be back again tomorrow here on the Grid. In-game live next.